In today's video, I'm going to talk about two very interesting navigation tricks in Power Query. Of course, using the M language. No further ado, let's start. All right, trick number one, navigating using lookup operators. Now that obviously is a jargon. Let me help you understand what am I trying to do here. In my current Excel file, I have three tables. These are the three tables that I have, and these tables have also been named. So this is the first table, the second table, and the name of the third table. Now, I would like to open up a table, and by opening up a table, I mean to say that I would like to navigate to a table. Now, there are a couple of ways in which you can navigate to a table or open up a table. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to row number 2 here. Actually, this is not row number 2. This is row number 1 because in Power Query, the counting starts with 0. So this is row number 0. This is row number 1, and this is row number 2. So I would first want to go to row number 2. And then I would want to pick up the column, which is the content column. If I provide these two coordinates, then I will open up this particular table, which is called blank letters. Let's just take a look. So after I have the entire table, this is my entire table. In this table, I need two coordinates. One is the row number, which is not this row number. This is row number 1. And the second is the name of the column. If I provide these coordinates, I am going to navigate to this particular table. Let's just see. So I'm just going to go right here. I'm just going to say, hey, my row number is row number 1. If I now press enter, I am only going to get the contents of row number 1. You can see that this is the table. Now, obviously, I would want to navigate to a column as well, which is the column. The name of the column is the content column. So I'm just going to write the name of the column in the square brackets. All right. As soon as I commit to this, now the table number 1, which was blank letters, has been opened up in front of me, and I can start working in this table. This is one way of navigating to a table. The second way of navigating to a table could be using a lookup operator. What do I mean by that? Consider this for an example. Now let's just say that row number 1 could keep on changing, and you may not have the exact table at row number 1. So what do I do about that? I'm going to actually use a lookup operator to navigate to a table. Now that I know that the name of this particular table is blank letters, I'm going to do something like a lookup in this particular column. So I'm just going to say, hey, why don't you go in every single row of the name column? Just go find something like blank letters. Once you find that, open the corresponding table of that particular column. How do you do that? Lookup operator kind of thing. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a curly brackets, because in the curly brackets, you mention what row are you trying to navigate to. The problem, however, is that I don't really want to write the row number. I want to do a lookup operator based on the name column. To write the name of the column, I'm just going to put the square bracket and create this as a record. So I'm just going to say, hey, in the name column, I'm trying to navigate to something like a blank letter, right? Make sure the case sensitivity is there. And once you do that, and if you now commit to this, you're again going to get to this particular record right here, which gives you both the columns. And now you're trying to refer to the content column right here, which again comes in the square bracket, and you have now opened up the entire table. Now, I'm sure if you have worked enough with Power Query, this is pretty standard thing in Power Query. Now, let me just cancel this out. Even if you happen to click on the table, the lookup operator happens to work automatically. If I click right here, you can see that as the second part, which is nothing but the navigation part, it took the name of the table, which is the entire first step right here, and then it automatically added the lookup operator, which is the name column and the blank letters and the content after that. Now, I purposefully wanted to talk about it because you can use this particular navigation trick in some other aspects of your work as well to make your queries a bit more sophisticated. Now, there is only one thing to remember, that once you actually navigate to this particular record right here, which is the name column, make sure that there is only one row which matches this particular description, not many rows. If you have many rows right here which match the name description, this is going to give you an error. All right, let's just move on to trick number 2. Okay, navigation trick number 2 is a question mark. No, I mean to say that I know the trick. It's not a question mark, but the trick itself is a question mark. Let's just take a look. So here in this particular table, we have two columns, the content and the name, the same columns that we have been working with, and I will try to set up some navigation. And I will try this time to purposefully create some errors, and let's just use the question mark to deal with those errors. Please take a look. Now, I know for sure that in this particular table, there are just 2 rows of data. Actually, 3 rows of data, but the counting starts with 0. So this is the 0th row, the first row, and the second row. What happens if I happen to write number 3 right here? Let's just take a look. If I happen to write number 3 right here and I commit to this, this is obviously going to give you an error. It says that there weren't enough elements in the enumeration. This is trying to say that I was not able to find the 3rd row of the data. Now, what do? If you just happen to write the question mark in the end, it is going to give you a null value and the query is not going to break. Now this can also be replicated through the columns as well. Now let's just say that I correct the query and I just navigate to row number 2, I press enter, I get the correct table. Now I'm going to write the wrong name of the column. Now there are two columns right here. There is a name column and the content column, and I'm just going to purposely make a spelling error. I'm just going to write the name of the column, which is nothing but contents, a plural. And if I now commit to this and I press enter, obviously this is again going to give me an error. How do I solve the error? I just happen to write a question mark in the end. The question mark actually means that if you're not able to navigate, or if the navigation is not really found, then just give me a null value. This is awesome and it would not let your queries break. Now one more thing before I go. Now what you can do is you can also put question marks at both the places, at the row number and as well as at the column number. Now I can do something like 3 here, and if I now kind of put a question mark here, this is going to take care of the row in case the row gives an error. And if I put a question mark here, this is again going to take care of the column if the column gives you an error. This is also going to work if you happen to use a lookup operator right here. So if I cancel this out and if I probably write something like name equals to sale. So if I just go right here and I say that the name equals to sale, I'm purposely writing the word sale here, although the name of my table is sales. And obviously this should actually give me an error. Now, if I actually commit to this, this is again going to give me an error because the name sale was not found. There was sales, but not sale. Now what do? I just write a question mark here and this again gives me a null value. Pretty awesome. All right, that's been it. Let me know what do you think about this, and if you have any questions around this, feel free to drop in a comment and I'm going to be glad to reply. In the end, a big shout about my DAX and my Power Query courses in case you're starting out your journey with Power BI and you want to build your fundamentals first in Power Query and in DAX and in data modeling. I'd highly recommend that you take a look at my courses. It's going to be super awesome. Thanks so much for sticking around, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers. Bye.